this and... All right, everyone. So welcome to Knights of the Wavetable episode 1. Say hello to everybody. So welcome John Askew. And welcome Lee Walls from Metta and Glyde, which is Glyde, in case you don't know. And James Dymond.
Yo.
And you, Tolland, from Kayosa and Tolland. So you guys can speak. You all have microphones. So there's Manuel Lasso saying he's grabbing some popcorn. That's good. And yeah, so okay, so I have you all to. This is like more of an acid test to some degree, but I think this is going to be kind of more interesting for a lot of people, just because, I mean, honestly, like none of the fans have been able to interact with any of us in person since at the very latest since last March, right? When was it? When was everybody's last show? I mean, I think it was last March for everyone.
February for me.
Before that, yeah, for us.
Shit. I mean, it's just been, I mean, very frustrating. I mean, John, you have not had another gig in the interim during that little dip, have you?
Actually, I did. I had 2 gigs in the between lockdowns. Because Helsinki, Finland, their problem with COVID hasn't actually been that bad. So I went over there and played a gig there, and also I did something just outside Birmingham as well, which was, I have no idea how they got away with it. It was sort of just like a kind of like a rave, but it was licensed. The police were there, and the social distancing was squares marked out on the ground, but which worked during the daytime while the security were policing it. But as soon as night fell and the security were all off their tits on pills, then yeah, the distancing went out the window. They were all kind of hugging each other, all in one square in the middle, and just going nuts. But I you know, my last real proper gig was in March last year, so it's just coming up to a year.
Was that party the pre-marking of the uptick of the coronavirus for the following week?
Yeah, there was a huge spike in the Birmingham area.
Shit. So that was yeah.
What was it? Thailand, wasn't it?
Yeah, Unconscious Festival. Of course, that was one of the last. I think the following weekend was over to Montreal, and that, well, maybe it was 2 weeks later, and then after that, yeah, that was it. I had to cancel a gig to Honolulu. I was in New Jersey visiting my brother in between Montreal and Honolulu, and then it was announced that America was going to go into a massive travel ban. And it was a question of go play in Honolulu and not know when I'm coming home, or cancel the flight and then go all the way back and just get home. And chose to go home, which I think it was the right choice. But of course, it's just crazy to make these choices. This is just weird, and still is weird. Look, even looking back a year ago, jeez, ready for this to change. James, where was your last show?
It's February in Fabric in London. That was nice, close to home. But then before that remember we were in Hong Kong for the Creamfields gig.
Oh yeah, true. That was also last year. That
was December 2019. Remember, it was just after Christmas and before New Year.
Oh, okay, that felt like 2020. Okay.
I know, yeah.
But we already had the news of things starting to look a little shaky. Yeah.
And we're a bit sketchy, but then yeah, Fabric in London, and end of February, it was 25th or something like that. So a bit closer to home for me, but still, yeah, long time ago, isn't it?
Crazy. You, Tolland, when was your last time you've played out?
Last time I played out was quite some time ago. So we had a gig in Majifa, Manchester, in early March last year.
Shit.
Which actually I wasn't even able to attend because it was Russ went, so he represented both of us. But nah, I was moving house that weekend, right at the time just before lockdown kicked in, and then we were stuck in a position where we had no stuff for quite a while. So yeah, it kind of sucked.
This is insane. This is insane. Yeah, I'm ready for this to end. And I was just having a good conversation with Askew just earlier today about, territories in America actually having plenty of events, right, John? It's kind of.
I had a phone call with Paul Oakenfold this morning, who called me. He's moving, or in the process of moving, or has moved from his house in Hollywood to, I think he's bought a ranch just outside, it was somewhere in Texas anyway, but Texas and Florida are almost fully operational as far as gigs and clubs and stuff are going on. So he's been pretty busy. I mean, the last month and the next 2 months, he's doing quite a few gigs. I mean, the majority of them are outdoors, but he has done one pretty recently, which was in a club and you know, some social distancing, and you know, everyone's in the club and they've still got to wear a mask, and they take the mask down to drink, they put it back up, you know, and if you break those rules, you get kicked out. And I don't know. I mean, fuck knows what the initial rules, regulations, landscape, capacities and shit are going to be. And obviously every country's different. You know, when I went to today, the British government have announced that the 21st of June, or you know, clubs are going to be starting to reopen and stuff, and you know, immediately you get loads of messages on WhatsApp with friends here in the UK who are not necessarily in the industry saying, hey, your career's back on track from the 21st, and you're like, well, that only constitutes, the UK constitutes maybe 4 gigs a year,
and that means that they don't have to pay out anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like the because all of our career is so international, it's sort of this. It's not like just because one country gets on top of the situation with its vaccinations and stuff, you know, how much longer certain countries in Asia are going to catch up. I mean, fuck knows. I mean, you see the shit that's going on in Myanmar at the moment with hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people in the street protesting. I mean, that's not going to help the situation.
No, but I can't recall my last gig in Myanmar, to be fair.
I can't remember the last one, but the name definitely has come up.
No, that's true. Actually, it has been like it's been a what do they call that in our calendars? It's been an idea in our calendars, but no, it's never really come to fruition.
Potential ideas, right?
Potential ideas, but no, like, yeah, you're right. I mean, we are going to be the last people to go back to normal work for sure. And even though our country will deem us worthy of work, when the trans scene is so international and we need the international scene in order to actually make this work, then we're going to be last on the list for people that go back to a normal kind of touring circuit. We don't play techno. So, I mean,
in regards to Asia, my mate who lives in Thailand, he's DJing every weekend, only because it's all Thai people or people who live there. He's saying that you're not allowed to, you know, enter the country, and his friend, so a friend of a friend who was his promoter, he was going to book someone from the UK to come over, and basically he had to be responsible for that artist, and if that artist did anything wrong or caught COVID and gave it to other people, you know, this promoter would go absolutely bankrupt. So it's not even worth their kind of business interest to do it in case something does fuck up and they lose all their money, you know, they get thrown in jail and all this kind of stuff. So it's really our situation is completely different to every other country's situation, isn't it?
I want to know what's going on with these visas, the EU visas.
Well, I mean, even also the American visas too. America has now coughed up you can't just enter America on an ESTA anymore. So even my kids have to pay $160 a head just to enter America, just to visit their grandparents right now.
Really?
This is a new thing since, I guess, the summertime. And, you know, this fall trip that we had planned last year, of course, which Delta canceled all our flights for us, which was very nice of them. But, you know, we just want to go visit America. Actually, we want to go visit Florida, which would be fantastic if Florida was kind of split off from America, because Florida would be cool with international flights landing in their state, because they don't give a shit. But, which is great, because we want to go. That's all we want to go to. We just want to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Someone's just said in the chat, Florida COVID is through the roof.
I know, but you know, I'm not over, like, we're not looking to see anybody except for my grandparents. We're not looking to, you know, go to a festival in Florida. We're not looking to, you know, go to, you know, they just had the my mother actually went to the Rolex 24 there, and which is like the Rolex sponsored kind of race that they do for 24 hours with like real cars that are all souped up, and it's pretty interesting. I was asking her like, how are they going to handle that with the crowds, and she's like, oh, it's like 30% of the stadium. But she showed me pictures, and they handled it extremely well. Like, where she was seated, she was with her own brother, with my uncle, and she did like a video sweep through, and you couldn't even see a single person sitting anywhere near her within like 6 seats. They handled it well.
That's good. But are they at reduced capacity though?
30%, they said, but it honestly looked like less.
So that's the thing. Like, even if events were at reduced capacity, going back to like whatever it's worth, business sense to open up a 1,000-person club at only 300 people. It's
probably not. Is it?
Is the club going to be able to sustain, paying the mortgage or the rent and then the bar staff?
A club, no way, because a club is not televised and you can't sell TV advertising time. Whereas a Super Bowl, yeah, that might actually work. I mean, the Super Bowl makes more money with advertising time than they do with the seats that they fill.
Yeah.
So that makes sense to still run through it, but in
the context of our careers, the guys who are all going over to the Paradigm thing that just got it announced in Australia, and which is in June.
Yeah,
all of those guys have got to self-isolate on arrival.
Oh, really?
Do they really? Okay, they do have to do that.
They all have to do it on arrival, and you kind of think, I know to a lot of people the career looks phenomenally lucrative, but if you're having to arrive into different countries and self-isolate for a period before you're allowed to play, and then you have to get back to the UK or wherever you live and self-isolate when you get back, I don't know whether getting a vaccination and having a vaccination passport or whatever they give you is going to change these, but at a certain point, the cost to you of touring will not make sense to tour anymore. It won't make sense. So, and as James pointed out, if you're getting to the other end and then playing in a club that's only allowed 30-40% capacity, so the promoter's asking you to take a massive dip in income as well.
When you subtract the agency fee, the flight, and the taxes, will you want to go? Yeah,
accommodation as well for these 2 weeks.
Oh yeah, okay. It depends if it's delivered. I think most of the people in the chat probably don't know what the difference between delivered, landed, or plus flight deals are. So let's just say all the things that come out of it. Is it going to be worth actually going to a place? And probably, many times, I think the answer is going to be no. A lot of times.
Yeah.
Not if you've got to do that every time.
No.
Who pays for this? Who pays when they go to Australia? Who pays for the 2 week isolation? Because obviously now in England we have to pay for it, don't we? If we come back from a red list country.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the promoters are covering it for this. I mean, don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure they are. I've looked over a couple of the contracts, and I'm pretty sure they're covering it for this because they knew it was going to be such a quick sellout that it was worth doing. And I know, for example, Ben Nicky went over to Taiwan for Ultra,
something like that.
Which was quite, right in the middle of serious COVID, and he had to lock down for a good 2 weeks on arrival. So I think there are opportunities out there, but to do a sustained, busy month of heavy touring, zigzagging across the planet, I'd be surprised if that shit was happening effectively until 2022, 2023, maybe. I don't know.
It just depends on how many people are getting vaccinated on a per country basis and how many people these countries are letting in from other countries. And so on this whole topic, so let's just go through all four of you and let's just see what you guys have been up to since last March in terms of keeping busy. I mean, obviously none of us have been flying anywhere, none of us have been playing any public clubs. So let's just start with you, Mr. Tolland. What have you been doing to keep busy since last March?
Keeping busy. I've been learning quite a lot about sort of 7-year-old schoolwork, to be honest.
Yeah.
That time.
Relearning your maths.
Do you know, I don't know as much about grammar as I thought I did.
No, I'm exactly the same.
Well, you're Scottish, no?
Well, yes, I am. And that's probably part of the problem. So, anyway, well, I've been spending I think in my spare time, been basically putting a bit of focus on just kind of trying to, like, but I've been kind of trying to learn a bit more. Not that I don't know about music production, but I think there's always more to learn. So I've been kind of just diving deeper into topics that I maybe wasn't as familiar with. So things like mastering, things like difference between all types of compressors, and just getting into the really geeky stuff. So I've been spending a lot of time doing that. I think, do you know, it's a strange thing. I think I've made quite a few new friends during this sort of lockdown corona period as well. Quite bizarre. Like, I feel like people's kind of, because we're not all going out and seeing people, like friends in real life, people in clubs and whatnot, there's been a lot more people kind of reaching out and have been kind of building on kind of existing relationships. And I feel I've kind of, it's weird, I feel I've made quite a lot of new kind of buddies that I've been interacting with on a daily basis to try and keep each other sane. So I think I've been spending a lot of time with that, really.
There's definitely been a lot of that. That's absolutely, yeah. I mean, we talk all the time now, and yeah, also like, I think it's been a good redefinition of people that are trying to stay positive throughout the whole time, and then the ones that are just, I mean, it's very hard. Mark my words, it is very hard to stay positive throughout the whole time. But you know, when you get clamped on, like, you know, like positive thoughts or like an old track, they're like, okay, good. These why is nobody using these techniques anymore for the last 20 years? And like, this is great. Like, this is shit that just like fuels you. You know, and then I spent 2 days trying to learn how to do this old techniques because no one touches them anymore.
Yep, exactly the same. And I think there's been quite a lot of producers who I didn't really interact with in the past, or in a limited capacity, that just really kind of, we've been kind of shooting the shit and talking about all these kind of things. So I think coming out with the one good thing of this is that a lot of us are probably going to come out with a lot of new kind of skills in the armory, really, do you know?
Well, don't forget, just as a bit of a plug, I mean, don't forget, Tolland runs the Trans Producer Forum, Trans Producer Group on Facebook. So any of you producers out there, if you're not part of this group, definitely get involved with that. It's definitely a good commonplace of a lot of ideas that are like, and I've kind of peeked in there from time to time and contributed, but it's definitely it's a place where a lot of people butt heads in terms of production techniques, which is just great because I love that. It's the old dance tech, for those of you that are old enough to remember dancetech.co.uk and how awesome that website was. And this is, for me, the modern version of that website. I don't know, Tolland, do you remember? I'm assuming you knew Dance Tech.
Well, actually, no, not Dance Tech. But,
oh man, I'm that old. Shit.
I've never heard of it.
Jesus Christ, Lee, don't even lie. I think you're older than me.
I've never heard of it.
I mean, I think the intention with that sort of forum was to try and kind of recreate this sort of Trans Addicts, Trans.nu, and Junabeats production forum. They kind of got on there. And I think to some extent it does. It's maybe a little bit less toxic than that was.
Or maybe more
healthy.
More on a level like the Matt Hardwick forums.
Well, maybe I something like that.
Lee, don't even lie. You're fading out like the Marty McFly photo that he was holding up in Back to the Future. I mean, like, so let's not even get started there. James, what have you been up to this whole time?
Bits and pieces, really. Like, at the start of it, I was kind of like thinking, oh, why the fuck am I making music when I can't even, you know, play out or anything? And it's kind of depressing, wasn't it? You know, like, we were speaking the other day and it was like, I've just started doing a new track that hadn't done anything since, you know, like November last year, and I've kind of come almost full circle again, because at the start of March I didn't really do anything, and I made like 4 tracks in a row. Did really well with that, and then got to the end of this year, and now it's almost kind of like, with no end in sight, you're back round to the fuck, like, you know, why do I want to kind of make music for stuff you're not going to play out? But obviously I still want to do it. It's just hard to get inspiration, you know, but been doing a lot of kind of like studio work with other guys, and I bought a new place, which was nice. That kind of kept me and the missus busy over the last like 4 to 6 months. And that's really it, honestly, mate. There's nothing else that we can really do. Went and seen friends when you can do. When we had in between our lockdowns, we tried to see friends, like, you know, within the guidelines as much as possible. But even then, you couldn't really see them much because you don't really want to travel, you know.
Well, I love how you just kind of like you kind of swept under the rug. Oh, we bought a new place. It was like a small detail, like we got a new chair.
No, it was a big issue. Like that was the one good thing about lockdown. And what I've realized, I don't know about you guys, that,
spending less money traveling.
Without the travel, I was going through when I was doing my taxes and things, and I was looking at all my receipts and that, and I was like, fucking hell, I'm spending a lot just on travel, right? Getting to the airport, food and drinks at the airport, you know, upgrades and all this and that, and then getting back home, and you know, you're away for 2 weeks. When we talked about you go to Australia or long haul for 2 weeks on tour or 3 weeks, you're spending a couple of grand just on like living costs, right?
You don't even see it go because it's all on plastic. Yeah.
Exactly, and all that money that I've spent, or not spent, and then obviously not going out to the pub at home or going out for dinner, like we saved a lot of money, and we managed to save up and buy a new place, which is brilliant. So this is all my new studio now, and yeah, we love it here.
Yeah, no, it looks all right, man.
Yeah, it's getting there, work in progress.
It looks nice and soft. I was just saying, it was like there's the one situation where you want something to be soft, right, guys and girls? So yeah.
And girls, did you say?
Yeah.
Maybe for Sean.
Anyway, so Lee, what have we been up to?
Lots, actually. Yeah, but it's different for us because obviously me and Adam were both working full time.
Yeah, true.
So with all this happening, it's given us a massive opportunity to do what we're doing now with the Mag Signature Sound, the shop, and the T-shirts. And obviously there's two of us, so we can work on music at the same time as well. So yeah, and the Mag Signature Sound, the sample shop, that's going really well. So yeah, and we're full time now.
Say the name. Plug the name of the website. This way people know where to go.
Yeah, magsignaturesound.com.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously you can buy sample packs, MIDI packs, templates, tutorials. Yeah.
And your T-shirt shop, which is Noise, noiz3.com.
Yeah, so that's Noise, noiz3.com.
Oh, that's right, Z. That's right. It's British.
you still ain't got the hang of that one.
The British Z.
Well, Lee, whatever you're doing with the Facebook advertising, it's working well because I've been seeing it popping up in my stream fairly regularly on a daily basis.
Have you bought one yet?
Well, it's not been that effective.
You know what, though? At least, you know, you've been looking at good, wholesome stuff, as opposed to, like, you know, seeing, like, you know, MILFs on delivery. And at least you're seeing their noise line. You know, that's good.
Well, yeah. It makes a pleasant change.
Yeah, okay, good. Pleasant change.
Lee, was it hard to set up the website for the samples? Like, how did that all get started?
Well, we started with like zero money basically, so we've been through 3 different platforms, and now we've built it to the platform that we basically wanted in the first instance. So yeah, it's been a long road, but yeah, we're there now. Yeah,
right. Congrats, man.
This has been a learning experience for everybody. John, I know you've been busy since the start of this, so yeah, spill.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the same.
It's not like you've not been busy anyway from the start before that, so.
No, but look, when lockdown very first happened, you know, when COVID very first hit and the weather was superb, I was incredibly grateful for that time off, and I spent the first 3 to 4 months basically just hanging out with my family, getting stoned and drinking loads of beers and just enjoying the summer. And then I just fell in love with being back in the studio. I've just made so much music that is heartbreaking. None of it's, you know, some of these tracks are a year old and they have never been played out. But now I've got a 18-track artist album, which I'd say is probably 70 to 80% done. You know, a couple of big vocal tracks, which are still in and not yet to be started. So that's kind of holding the album back a little bit. But it's been, in the sense of production, it's been a great period for me to stop being so lazy and to, you know, spend a lot of time reorganizing all my samples. I've got like 25 different drives of old samples, and I've now amalgamated them all on one, really organized them, really structured them, you know, just going through all my channel strip settings, getting rid of all the shit I don't use very much, getting rid of just structuring and organizing so that now it becomes a joy when I sit down to make tracks. So making music, running the record labels, as you guys were saying, you know, helping the kids with the ongoing schooling bullshit.
Yeah.
But you know, actually just being at home has been really nice, even though now I have to say I'm at the cabin fever stage where I'm desperate to start traveling again, just for a change of scenery more than anything else. But I you know, 2 years after this is all finished, I'll look back on COVID and with fondness, not because of the amount of people it killed, but because of the, you know, the time at home that it gave me, and quality time with my family I maybe perhaps never would have had if this hadn't happened. So yeah, I've been busy as fuck, but it's busy as fuck doing shit that doesn't make any money, which in the long run, you know, is tricky.
It does get to you a little bit, yeah. Speaking of family time, I mean, yeah, I mean, surely this. Because we are all for, and I know everybody has in this list a significant other, wife or girlfriend, and has there been any touch and go moments where? Because I know a lot of breakups have occurred during this time, and a lot of people have been fighting. But I know none of you are broken up, so we can do a spoiler alert right there. But in terms of stress in the relationship, how has that felt?
Is this something you want to tell us, Sean?
No. We've had plenty of fights. I'll get to mine.
Why don't we start with yours?
We'll start with mine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, I mean, I mean, we are at each other's throats all the time anyway. But it's like it always ends well, and it always ends the way I kind of want it anyway. But like we had a situation yesterday as parents. So this was like definitely a more parental situation. This is not a sexy, oh, you didn't touch me in the right place situation. This is a what the fuck did you kids just do situation. And our kids we were all at our camper, which is 30 minutes away, which is, you know, Americans can look at it as a trailer. So like in Europe, you know, the trailer doesn't have it as the bad stigma that it does in Europe. But we were there, and we had guests over, and then upon leaving, it was like a perfect day. It was sunny, 14 degrees Celsius all day, 13, whatever. I was in shorts and sandals all day. And then upon leaving, our guests went to their car, and my youngest daughter, Morella, and her friend, who was one of their kids, and the youngest one of theirs, apparently had taken it upon themselves to go grab some pebbles and go Picasso on the side of their car. Now, it would be one thing if it was just on one little panel and whatever, but it was like basically from the entire right side, from the front passenger side headlight to the back rear tail light, and like proper, yeah. When I say Picasso, it was like you could see eyes and stuff like that. It was unbelievable. And yeah, so everybody kind of had a like bad taste in their mouth. So of course we had a parenting discussion after that, and it was like, you know, that kind of erupts into a potential "are we good parents" conversation and everything like that. Which of course it ended fine. We were like, we're good parents. We just kid does a fucked up thing, and then of course Morella throws the "you did fucked up things when you were kids." I'm like, but I didn't fucking key somebody's car repeatedly 70 times. But I guess kids did this. I mean, I guess we've done equivalent things. I don't know. I don't remember that.
Yeah, for sure.
I vandalized my body in various ways, but not other people's cars. I mean,
it's not something you really want to admit to on stream, is it?
Oh, you're talking about your tattoos.
Yeah, yeah, we could go with that. We'll go with that. But like, it's unbelievable. Like, so yeah, so that was I mean, these little things test us, and yeah. So I mean, so yeah, that's the question I have for everybody else. Like, how was it with everybody in terms of their relationships? Were they ever put to the test during this time? I mean, surely there have been some eruptions at some point. John, I've seen your Instagram, so yeah. You're one with would you like some tea? Yes, please.
One of my wife's techniques is she either doesn't respond at all or responds so quietly I can't hear it. Or maybe it's just my DJ hearing that's just fucked. But it just infuriates me. I have to ask the same question multiple times. But no, on the whole, we've got on really, really, really well through the whole thing. And I feel very fortunate to live basically in the countryside. So anytime there is a need to get out, I can just take my dog and go for, you know, the whole day or whatever. So, and that tends to sort it out, you know. But yeah, I don't envy the 22-year-old parents who are living at the top of a high-rise flat in London with, or any big city with loads of young kids and having to deal with the screaming without really, you know, any space to breathe. This situation's got to be tough as fuck, and I reckon in all countries there must be a spike in divorces and, you know, sort of, what else would you say?
Splits, cheats, yeah, all that stuff. Like, you know, actually, nobody can cheat because nobody can have any external contact. So
that was one of the things that we kind of struggled with, was not being able to, like, you know, I grew up in the country, like, you know, around like where you are, John, and had all that nice countryside area you could go out into. Now, us living in London, that was one thing we found hard, was being able to, when we had that amazing summer in 2020, not being able to get out. Like, luckily for us, we had a really big park down the road, but it's not like where you are, John, where it's literally, you're in the middle of the country, you can go off and you can fuck off for 2 hours and do whatever the hell you want, right? But living in the city, we were lucky enough to be living far enough away from the main city that we've got our own kind of area we could go to. But yeah, people living in the center of big cities must be really hard. And now that they're saying you're not even allowed to go 5 miles away from your own place, you know, you can't even leave the city to get exercise in the country. It's that's a big mental hindrance, really.
That would be crazy. In these cities in Australia, for example, where you couldn't go more than 5 kilometers from your house, that's I mean, that's a run.
Well, that's what they've brought in now into England, yeah.
If you run for 15 minutes, that's 5K. Or okay, let's say 20 minutes. That's wild. Oh no, wait. I'm sorry, I'm wrong. That's actually, that's there and back. So if you run for, like, on average, like 35 minutes on an average running speed, 35 minutes by your foot, by your feet, and then you can't go further than that away from your house. That's, I mean, there's stores that you can't even go. Like, okay, those will be closed anyway. But it's just amazing how limiting that actually is.
James, can I ask a question? When you were you sort of moving house and committed to all of that before COVID happened?
We did it in between. So luckily, we did it we went to visit it, look at the place in August. So that was in between the 2 lockdowns.
So you weren't already committed to buying a house or anything before COVID. You decided to move house.
Yeah, during COVID, yeah. So so that we did all of the process during COVID. So even like we couldn't actually go in and meet the solicitor and like see anyone face to face. We didn't see anyone in any part of the process, apart from the person who showed us the flat, you know, and showed us around. So it was a bit weird, and it's first time buying as well. So it was kind of like, this is a weird process, but it worked out all right. Everything was done online, you know. But I think it was lucky we got to see it. Like, at least the UK government allowed the housing market to keep going. Otherwise, without that, you know, it'd be an absolute shit show. Yeah.
Jeez. You and the Mrs. Lee?
There is no Mrs.
What?
I've got no one to answer to, no.
Oh, that's amazing.
No. Yeah, it's great. It's really great.
Sean telling us what he really thinks of his family.
No, I was joking. No, okay, fair enough. Okay, so you had nobody to fight with. Okay.
No.
Okay, easy enough. And you?
Well,
That's not a very good way to preface this.
no, well, you know, like I say, we moved in this place in March, right before the lockdown kicked off, and we had a period of time. So we didn't have a sofa, we didn't have a bed actually either. We had an inflatable bed, so everything was just that little bit uncomfortable for the first while. And I think this was the first time we'd actually lived together as well. So kind of moving in together, lockdown hitting right as that's happening. We're on top of each other all the time. We weren't able to adjust and realise where those boundaries were. So I think there was absolutely some sort of you know, sometimes where, like, I was in this room all day, she's in her room working all day, we've got the kids running around, and, you know, kind of, I don't know, just it got a bit tense, let's say.
Yeah.
To the point where if you offered a cup of tea, it was actually seen as quite a negative thing. It's like, get out of my fucking space.
Hostility to offer a cup of tea. I love it.
Yeah. And you know, and whenever you take a step back from it, you think if that's the worst thing you've got to deal with, then actually you're probably all right. But it is just that constantly, it's kind of taken away a bit of the kind of going to see your friends, going to do the little things that you would normally do on your own. And I do think that that puts a bit of strain on things. So yeah, we've had a few of those moments, but I don't know. I think I like to think we're pretty solid. So
is it better now?
Better now?
Yeah. Is it from that initial period when you moved in March? Is it much better now?
I would say so, yeah. I mean, the second.
Or are you looking at the booze in your hand, going, "That's
I'm just going to sort this out." You can see, like, half of this is gone already. So, no, I think so. I think we've got a better handle on where the kind of boundaries are and when we need to give each other a bit of space, things like that. So, it's been quite. It's been tricky. I'm sure it has been for everyone, really. Yeah. But
that is one of the problems.
Having a studio.
Let's change it up to extracurricular activities in terms of, okay, so like obviously we've had loads of time. Inevitably we're going to end up sitting on a sofa watching TV. So what have been our shows during the Corona time? And you don't have to pick something that's new or anything. Like, so what shows have you been? And there hasn't been that many new shows, so a lot of people have discovered shows that were potentially on in 2018 and 2019. So we'll kick off with John.
Gangs of London, I really liked.
Was that a show? That was a show. Yeah,
there was a show. One season. The guy who made it was Gareth Evans, the guy who made The Raid and The Raid 2. Unbelievable movie director / you know, the way he shoots fight scenes and stuff, the choreography is ridiculous. So that's cool. That was amazing. I've been watching The Last Man on Earth is fucking brilliant.
Yeah,
I've not seen that actually.
That's funny. Really funny.
What else? Actually, you know, weirdly enough, I've never traditionally been particularly good or keen on watching horror movies, and my wife absolutely adores them. And since lockdown started, she's forced me to watch, I would say, in excess of 50 really quite horrific horror movies. Whereas now I'm pretty numb to them, actually. You know, she now has to spice it up. We watched this one the other day called The Babadook. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically like a kid's storybook, and you know, and there's a character in the storybook. There's this evil kind of 7-foot-tall motherfucker with a bowler hat, and it's a scary movie, right? So I left the movie to go and make us a cup of tea, and which is quite often an excuse just to get out of the room for a minute, but she'll always pause it so I can't miss anything. And then when I came back in with the 2 cups of tea, she was standing on a chair behind the door so that she was about 7-8 feet tall. She put a bowler hat on, so she looked like the fucking Babadook, and I came in both cups of tea. So yeah, I've been watching a lot of movies, a lot of yeah, Christ, you've got me on the spot here. But out of everything, I'd say Gangs of London was the one.
Cool. This is something. Is it on Netflix?
It was on Sky. It was a Sky original. I'm sure it must be on Netflix by now. I mean, it's probably, I think it came out in October last year.
It's got to be on one of them, whether it's Netflix or Amazon Prime Video.
Amazon Prime it'll be on, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so I'm going to check this out.
It's really good.
And somebody was saying in the chat room, Peaky Blinders, which I watched several seasons of Peaky Blinders, which was also very, very good. But I watched them before Corona time, so it was like, you know, and I kind of got lost in the story because just like Game of Thrones, it kind of gets a little bit much. If you miss even 2 episodes, you're completely fucking lost. You've lost all, you know, concept of the connection and some of the story points. I'll kick off with mine real quick. I've been watching like cartoons more or less. I've been addicted to Archer lately. So like that's like,
I love Archer.
wow, like this is like
best cartoon ever, man.
Oh my god!
It's every single series about 5 times. I love it.
He is an absolute hero.
So funny, and it was actually initially jarring at first to get over the fact that it was the Family Guy like burnout dude at the 7-Eleven that was always like, you know, get over that voice because the same voice actor and there's no deviation in the voice whatsoever. So to get him from a burnout, you know, pothead at a 7-Eleven kind of employee to a secret agent was jarring at first, but then when you get used to it, it's just the funniest thing in the world.
Brilliant.
And then apart from that, we're just waiting for Ozark and Stranger Things to come online, and good to go. Whenever that is. Lee, what have you been watching?
Yeah, watch Ozark. That was good.
That was
the best one was Warrior. You heard of that?
No.
It's based on the writings of Bruce Lee.
Oh, cool.
That was
yeah.
It's really good. That is really good. I think there's 3 seasons now.
Are you guys on? Is that on Sky?
No, it's not on Sky. I watched it through a dodgy, a dodgy app, but it's really good. Really good.
Oh, yeah,
I heard on that though that Bruce Lee's parents' father or something was annoyed at the way he was depicted or something.
Oh, then they'd be really pissed about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, then how he was depicted there.
Yeah, or maybe it was that actually. Maybe
it's not actually. Yeah, although it's based on the writings of Bruce Lee, it's not. He's not actually a character in it.
Oh no way! Okay,
right.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It must be Once Upon a Time in Hollywood then. It was something I heard that.
Totally was, because Brad Pitt kicked his ass. Like Brad Pitt threw him into the door of a car.
Yeah, like as if that would ever happen.
You, Tolland, what have you been watching?
My picks are probably going to be mostly
Keep it
sci-fi,
clean.
really.
He's like, God damn, all my favorite movies have been wiped clean from Pornhub. A friend of mine told me.
I've been watching this really dirty show on a Wednesday. Wet Wednesday, I think it's called. That's been a regular feature. But no, I think in terms of actual proper TV viewing, Raised by Wolves. That's on Sky/Now TV. Sort of science fiction show about AI. Ridley Scott makes it. Really good. Star Trek Discovery. I've forced myself through that, but it's really pants. But I like Star Trek, so I feel I have to.
You don't have to feel just because you like something doesn't mean you have to force yourself through a bad version of it.
No, but I don't know. It's kind of like when you see a track by an artist that you used to love and you hope it's going to be good and you listen to it and you're just disappointed, but you need to listen to it anyway. It's exactly like that.
I was just going to say we force ourselves to listen to trance artists that we like, that we don't like all the time. Yeah.
So Star Trek Discovery. The Mandalorian, that's been...
you know what? That's a great point. I mean, anybody that's a Star Wars fan probably went into that ready to hate it, and I ended up loving it. I was actually blown away by it. I was actually blown away by the fact that it really wasn't a baby Yoda. And that's not a fucking spoiler alert, people. They tell you that in the beginning. So just get over it. It's not a baby Yoda, for God's sake. But, like, it's not even a spoiler alert, so I'm not doing anything wrong here. But it's just a good show. They've done very well with the story. And the special effects, just gradually, you could see Disney ramping up the budget. They're like, yeah, they're good for an extra couple million for the show. And it's pretty impressive, yeah.
Yep, I think it's better than any of the Star Wars stuff in recent years, and I know it's kind of a bit Marmite. Some people love it, some people hate it, but I think that's probably one of my favourite Star Wars things ever been made.
Yeah,
really good.
Me too, man. I loved it. Absolutely loved it.
Really good. Yeah. Let's get down to. I'm sorry. What do you want to say, you?
Just one last thing. The Expanse on Amazon Prime. Not a great show.
I've seen you recommended this. Okay, now this is the second time you recommended it. I guess I have to go watch it now.
What's it about?
Well, Oh, very quickly. It's basically science fiction again. It's Earth.
Similar to Star Trek.
No, not really. It's all in our solar system, but all the different. There's a lot of different factions within our solar system, and it's basically how that plays out. There's kind of action bits, political bits, kind of just weird, kind of sort of almost like detective story bits. It's pretty cool.
I tried watching the first 3 episodes, didn't finish the third, and never went back to it.
Oh,
Couldn't get into it.
Got to stick with it.
I love sci-fi stuff, but that one was just so many characters that thrown at you at once and didn't know what the hell was going on half the time.
Well, that's it. It kind of comes together a bit towards the end of that season.
Yeah.
It's a slow burn at first.
Yeah.
A quick shout out to Fairy Tale and Stoneface and Terminal, who have been in the chat room with us for quite some time already. This is actually very cool to see, and welcome, guys. And so we're going to change the topic again. So this is an interesting one, and you guys have been briefed on it, so you've had a chance to gather your thoughts on it. And we're going to go with a recurring topic on the channel, which gets people fired up: vinyl versus digital. And this has nothing to do with the tangibility of the DJing factor. Just simply on the sound basis. How do you feel? Like, everyone goes, "Oh, vinyl sounds better." And just because of physical limitations, I have to say I'm curious about the truth of this. So, I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, like, are you guys thinking that I mean, of course, there is an upheaval and a resurgence of the popularity of vinyl right now, whether it be on a collectability level or a nostalgia level. Woof, Corona symptom. But you know, what would you say is, you know, something that would be
just in terms of sound quality?
Yeah, simply in terms of sound quality, does it make a track glow, or does it handicap the track?
I'm not sure.
You don't have to be afraid. You can say your feelings. Don't be afraid to be political here. It's not like somebody's not going to like your music because you say it handicaps the track.
We're talking about just the sound.
The sound alone.
There is something very special about the sound of vinyl, especially if it's a good, weighty, either 140 to 180 gram piece of vinyl that is cut well, that is mastered well specifically for vinyl. But, you know, a good quality, well-mastered WAV, when you're standing in the middle of the dance floor, 6 pills in, are you really going to make any fucking difference? I doubt anyone in the world would be able to tell the difference there in the middle of the dance floor. I doubt they would.
No.
I know we're just specifically talking about sound, but there again, the pros and cons do tend to branch out. And do you want to lug a box around with 90 tracks in, or a USB with thousands? It's just never going to happen. I mean, I love vinyl. I've got a lot of it here, a lot of it with my parents, but would I ever consider going back to it? No.
It looks like Mr. Tolland's got a couple of vinyls in his background there too.
There's one or two, really.
I do love them. I still love buying them, but I just, you know, the sound of it is something great to have personally at home, but I just don't think the difference is worthy of, you know, massive debate. I just don't think that great.
I mean, here's my theory, and it's totally up for debate. And I feel like the vinyl is an organic form of music. It's physical, it's tangible. I feel like the needle and the way the needle is reading and rolling along the actual physical imprints in the wax as a form of, you know, translating that into a wire, which goes into an amplifier, which gets pumped out. But of course, in a club, those vibrations get amplified because, of course, the monitors are banging down onto the vinyl, banging down onto the turntables. The system itself is also probably in some way feeding sound waves onto those platters, and I feel like there is some kind of subtle feedback that is going to happen to those needles that is not actually on the vinyl itself, but it's going into the needle in addition to what's actually being fed off of the record. And I could be wrong here, but I feel like that extra warmth is that phenomenon that people talk about when they hear about vinyl, which is actually not fair because it's not the vinyl itself, it's the medium.
I don't know. So you think if you was stood in a club and someone played a vinyl track and then they played a digital track, you'd be able to tell the difference?
I don't know about necessarily tell the difference, but maybe the purist would. But I mean, is that the warmth that people are talking about? Because if the warmth is just on the vinyl, that can be emulated in any software version possible with 32-bit and 40 and 24-bit. You know, waves with good headroom and everything like that. I mean, of course, vinyl doesn't even have that amount of headroom. Vinyl is left with, I believe, the same amount of headroom that a 16-bit CD is, or potentially less. So that's not even that a 16-bit CD is not even a fair fight for a vinyl in terms of headroom, in terms of stereo width. I remember when I first moved to Germany, and we were almost sued. The guy that I was working with there, we were almost sued by the record pressing plant because of the stereo phasing in the bass, which I wasn't even aware of at the time, that you really had to be, you know, this is 2004, so of course you know, I wasn't aware about all these things that people have non-stop, like plethora of YouTube videos about now, about monoing the bass and making sure there's no stereo phase cancellation in the mids, and I mean, forget about stereo bass, you could just kiss that goodbye, and you know, all these things. But we were threatened because we would break the Dymond with the amount of stereo phase. I blame Vanguard for that because it had the most stereo bass I've ever seen of a VST in known to man, despite the fact that it did great acids. But you have to take the good with the bad with that. But I mean, these types of limitations, I guess, you know, it was limitations, of course, that give birth to creativity. So what do you do with a limited stereo width, and what do you give birth? What do you do with limited headroom? You do the best you can with it. And there were still records that sound amazing, whether you listening to a recording off the vinyl or not. But it seems that everybody seems to agree with me here, so it doesn't really matter. I know you, Tolland, you seem to have definitely the most vinyl in the scene. So right there in my at first glance. So you have to say, and we've been talking about this for a long time, and how you feel the vinyl sound compared to what you hear in terms of, say, what you get off a Beatport.
Right. Well, I suppose that the issue I've got with loads of things that get off Beatport is that loads of people don't master their tracks properly, and they'll limit them to 0 dB, which essentially, when you convert that to MP3, you're going to get lots of distortion above that threshold. So straight up, you're kind of losing a bit of sound quality. Mm-hmm. But in terms of the vinyl, the actual vinyl kind of mastering process, like you mentioned, it doesn't have as much headroom on it. So I think people are more inclined to master things with slamming it into a limiter a bit less, and probably making it a bit more dynamic. So I think a lot of the old tracks that we listen to on vinyl are more dynamic by necessity.
Yeah.
And so there's that aspect of it, and then there's probably, like, so I mean, I suppose we create all this music digitally, so I mean, a digital representation of it's probably going to be the most accurate, to be honest with you. But
exactly,
it's a bit like whenever we, sometimes we'll add, some kind of saturation chain or a saturation, and so I think inherently that process, you're reading from it's vibration based, the whole medium, and so I suppose if you just think about the nature of vibration and resonance, it's creating harmonic distortion. So everything that resonates at the same frequency that's resonating, and the kind of doubling of that frequency and up the way, you're going to have those harmonics added at a low level. So there's probably that, which people probably find pleasing to listen to. It probably just adds a sort of depth and warmth to things, rather than sounding a bit less cold and digital. But I mean, I'll be honest, I've not really done an A/B of any modern tracks on vinyl versus a kind of a digital version. I think, although I will say, like, older tracks, you get the digital version and the vinyl version, and I do think I prefer the vinyl, but it's probably a dynamic factor that plays into that. So it's not that the medium itself sounds better, it's probably just that things aren't slammed as much.
And I think also, Sean, we've been speaking about this recently, just touching on what you said there, Hugh, that it's the original production techniques used, where it was a lot less going on in the mix, and exactly what you're saying, that nowadays there's so much going on in the mix. There's slammed, you know, through loads of limiters. There's barely any dynamics. With the older stuff, we listen to it and it feels nice and big and warm, because there's one kick, one sub, one little mid bass, a couple of bits of percussion, one synth which is doing the lead, and you have massive space in the mix in between everything. And on a vinyl, it sounds brilliant. But then if you were to put our stuff nowadays onto a vinyl, like, is that going to make it sound like the old stuff? No, it's not, because it's different.
Oh, it would probably sound horrible. I know Activa has been right, John. Activa has been repressing all of his old stuff on vinyl. Probably he had to come back on whatever limiter he was using just to accommodate for the dynamics.
Yeah, it's interesting. We're now in the process of doing vinyl, and now through dealing with the individual mastering houses that deal with mastering specifically for vinyl. You know, the interesting thing is the reason, you know, when you speak to these people and you say, well, why is it we need to have it mastered in a different way? And they say, well, first of all, as the needle progresses towards the middle of the vinyl, you start losing tops.
Is that true? As it gets closer to the middle, you're losing the tops?
And it's more noticeable on a piece of vinyl where you have two tracks on one side.
Mm-hmm.
So, because obviously the grooves are wider when you have one track on the whole piece of vinyl, but you know, whichever track is on the inside, I think you need to try and ensure that you don't go over. It's either 13.5 or 14.5 minutes per side.
Oh
If you go over that, you considerably start to lose highs as you get closer, as the needle starts getting closer to the middle platter. So,
man.
But actually, when I sent over I'm trying to do a double pack with 3 tracks on one side, 3 tracks on the other. And when I sent them over to them, they said, "Well, look, actually, you can just keep your mastering. It'll be fine to use for this, but you are going to have to rearrange it because these tracks are louder than these 3. So instead of mixing and matching, have the 3 less loud ones on one piece of vinyl for continuity and the 3 louder ones on this one, and also." Whichever ones are going on the B side, i.e. 2 tracks on one side, you've just got to cut it. You're going to have to edit them a little bit to make sure that you don't breach this I think it might be 14.5 minutes on the side, because if you do, we do have to look at remastering.
So crazy. So okay, so basically the sound deteriorates with almost a curve that goes like this, kind of slowly.
Your highs start to dull out. So your top frequencies, your hi-hats, your ride cymbals, your top piercing frequencies start to dull out. Now, you know, they said to me that on a piece of vinyl with 1 track on one side, you'll never notice it. But you know, if you buy an album and you've got 3 tracks on it, the one that's on the inside that's only got a tiny, you know, sometimes on those you can really notice it.
Crazy.
But that's, if you don't notice it, it's more than likely because it's been mastered separately, specifically for the vinyl press.
Does that mean that they actually turn the highs up as the track?
They must compensate.
Oh my God! Well, that deserves an award to be able to factor that in for that. That's wild.
Impressive.
A lot of work. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the amount of wasted wax just pressing acetates just to test it?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great that there is a vinyl resurgence, and especially now when we're all desperately looking for new ways and means to pay the bills. But it's not something that I would ever get back into to the extent of touring with vinyl or doing vinyl sets. It just doesn't interest me. It's being able to have cue points, being able to look and see the waveform of the track and jump to individual parts and loop certain sections when you want to loop it. You know, the creativity that you can do as a DJ with the digital technology that Pioneer offers you versus fucking shitty old Technics that have had 20 pints of beer spilt all over them, and there you are working the fucking thing trying to... I would never go back to that.
Oh no, not even just that. Let's go back to the airport experience. When they ask you in the airport, what are you here for? I'm here for tourism. With a fucking 100 records in my vinyl bag behind me in a metal crate, and like, yeah, I'm here to tour. And they're like, wait, okay, yeah, that doesn't look good. I mean, I've been put into interrogation rooms because they were curious as to what I was doing there, and you have the shit scared out of you. So, if you have the vinyl, it's kind of evidence, right there. So I'd rather not get even anywhere near that. If you have a USB, everybody carries USBs, so that's great. Everybody carries big headphones. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean you're a DJ anymore. So it's a little bit easier to travel a little bit more incognito. And not that we're trying to pull the wool over any government's eyes, but just to make our travel a little bit more less eventful, let's say, would be nice. And yeah, the vinyl, waiting for your vinyl to arrive on the baggage ramp is not the most fun thing in the world if it doesn't arrive either. Mm-hmm. I can imagine Paul Cox probably, when he was playing just only vinyl, like, and he played only vinyl longer than probably any of us. And geez, imagine when his records didn't arrive. That would be quite the... Though I have a funny feeling he had an entire second collection in any place he had needed to go, namely Ibiza. Probably ready to go. So anyway, so yeah, so let's see what else. Useless talents for, like, you may have discussed. Well, there you go. Useless talents that nobody knows about you. Nobody has any?
Not really. Maybe drawing is mine.
Oh, right. Okay, that's good. I draw too. That's all right. That's good. That's a start.
Me too.
You could draw, everybody draws.
For you though, Shawnee.
I put my foot on the top of my head.
Oh yeah, gymnastics.
Yeah, I do it for my streams. But like, yeah, everyone's like, oh, you're gonna put your foot on your head now. I'm like, shit, because I was born with these knees that kind of don't face the right direction, and it makes bending a lot easier. So like yoga poses and doing fucked up stretches is actually really easy. But I'm not doing it now. But I could put my foot over the back of my head for like a couple seconds, and before I'd pass out. But
if we're talking about physical things, I can do a weird thing that makes my knuckle and my pinky fingers stick out really far.
Do it. Shove it right in the camera.
Right, hang on. There we go.
Wait. Oh, that's freaky, man. Fuck. It looks like a wishbone.
I know. What the fuck is that?
What is that? It's like a wishbone.
Yeah.
That's about as exciting as it gets. Apart from that, so someone told me that sound design was a useless talent.
Yeah.
No way.
A lot of my friends at uni told me that being a DJ was a useless talent, but
actually that was on the.
It is right now. It is right now.
It's on the latest Rick and Morty, isn't it? When
being a techno DJ, didn't they say?
It's fuck.
Something about wasting your life, I think.
Oh, there's so many good lines in that show.
Unproductives. The one where he is he returns to the planet that he got pregnant and had kids with.
Oh, Unity.
Yeah. And when it's having loads and loads of kids and they're trying to filter off the kid, the planet is spewing out kids because the planet's pregnant, because he got the planet pregnant. It's spewing out children, and they're filtering them off in different directions, and they're trying to sort of ensure there's enough of them in here, enough. And then there's one group of them is called the unproductives. And when they say, sorry, who's in the unproductives? Foodie types, DJs.
Where is Rick and Morty? Where is the next season? They've had time. And it's not like they can't blame Corona. Like, these guys didn't give a shit about, so they can produce the show. Then again, they've always been very, very unpredictable in terms of new seasons or whatever. But they did say the distance between the seasons would be far, far less now. But I'm really not feeling that right now.
No, it's been ages, hasn't it?
Yeah. It was like in the first cut. It came at a handy time in the beginning of it. Oh, we lost somebody. We lost you.
You, yeah.
Okay. Well, it's the same link. You can join right back in. He'll pop right back in. We lost you, buddy. But no, I mean, yeah, the show was show is amazing, and you can still watch every old episode. I mean, I probably still watch season 2 and 3 more than any other season.
I didn't like the newest one, season 3. I didn't like that as much.
I still liked it. It was pretty extreme. I mean, they really took. I think you have to get used to the fact that they're going to ratchet things up a level every time. And season 4 has been. I mean, John would probably agree with me. They ratcheted it up again in terms of they're getting a lot more political.
I love it. I love this latest season. I thought it was great.
Which is the one with the dragon orgy in?
This is season 4, yeah.
That's right. That's the one that I didn't like that much, but it was random. Like it was fucking mental, wasn't it? But that dragon orgy episode got to me.
But you know what it is? You know what it is? It reminds me of the randomness of when South Park was as random as that, and that. For me, it was like that's where it's super entertaining to me. There he is. He was coming back into the stream now. Yeah, so I think the dragon orgy. I mean, geez. I mean, like, there's just so many things, and the whole thing where you have to that toilet in Paradise was an interesting episode too.
Oh yeah.
It's been a while since I've seen it. I forgot the specifics of it, but it was very funny. Like about having this like totally segregated toilet in the middle of nowhere. And it was
Someone else found it.
Yeah, yeah.
Forced the guy not to go back to it.
Ashley Waters commenting, "Slut dragons." Yes, okay.
Slut dragons.
Oh man, have any of you ever had to deal with performance anxiety? We want to start with you, Mr. Tolland. Not sexual type.
Oh well, okay. In that case, not so much. Well,
oh, in that case, okay.
I'll be honest. I'm usually quite a kind of introverted, nervous guy at the best of times, and like putting myself in that situation, it's a quite bizarre thing. Really, I think the first few times I ever DJ'd in my life, I was absolutely bricking it. But I think I very quickly broke through that, and it's kind of like a weird disconnect. I don't know if it's the booze or the drugs or whatever, but it's there's something that makes it just like fucking yes.
Yeah.
Definitely the first couple of times I ever DJ'd in my life, it was just like absolutely shitting it, but not really, no. But I guess I suppose I've never played these kind of 50,000 festivals and stuff that I don't know, maybe like John or yourself can kind of tell us about.
They're cause for the pooping in the pants. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
John, I know you. Are you going to say no? Definitely, right?
I just get excited. You know, you get to a venue, you're just keen for the DJ to before you to get the fuck off. So you know, I don't get nervous really. I just get incredibly excited. I suppose those two feelings actually probably have areas where they cross over, but it's just excitement, a love of just DJing, playing records, and most specifically playing the records that you make. Yeah, that's the thing. That's another point as well, is making records and releasing them in this period, whereas traditionally it would be playing those records out 2 or 3 times that would give you the
feedback to fix them.
Version 20 to 26, which would be the final version. You know, are we going to go out after this and play the 10 tracks we made during COVID-19 and discover huge flaws with them?
I'm also concerned about that. Totally, yeah, 100%. It does suck not being able to have a proper floor test, that's for sure. But at the very least, to just be able to play in the studio and hear your track amidst, you know, after another track and before another track, I guess that's as close as we're going to get for the moment. You know, you can't gauge a crowd reaction, but at the very least, you can read the chat room and see what people are saying and if they're feeling it. But there's nothing compared to seeing the energy of bodies moving to your tracks. There's just nothing compared to that. That's sad just to think about. Shit. I do wish Twitch was a two-way medium where we could actually see something back, but even still, that wouldn't work. Like you would be looking at a million different single video screens. Imagine this 4, and imagine looking at 100 of them. It still wouldn't even make any sense. It would still need a dance floor. We need a dance floor, and that needs to come relatively soon. Which, shit, I don't know. James, you got any performance anxiety?
I used to. When I first started, like, I don't know, I'd say about 10 years ago, I was super nervous before I started, because I was mainly a producer before being a DJ, and like I'd played out when I was younger. When I used to play the piano, like in bands and things, and play guitar and I played in front of like 250 people in my local hall when I was about like 13 years old on the piano, right? And then that was nothing. But then as you get older, and I think you think more about things, it doesn't really phase you that much when you're younger. But when I first started DJing, not really knowing what I was doing, and then I was getting super anxious beforehand, couldn't really talk to anyone, didn't really want to do anything right. But then as soon as you hit as soon as you press play and you get behind the decks, like all of it just slides away, doesn't it? You know. But these days, I'm exactly like you, John. I'm just excited to get behind the decks now. Like I think it took me maybe a year of like proper gigs and building up, you know, starting at small ones, getting bigger and bigger, and then that anxiety just kind of slipped away, and I don't get it anymore. But now it is definitely you just want to get there. Like I don't like getting there sometimes too early, because then you're just fucking sitting around. You're like, I just want to fucking get on the decks, you know. You don't want to do anything apart from just get on the decks, and then that's the way I feel now, definitely. And I think that's what makes DJing so amazing for us, isn't it? The excitement of getting up there and doing your thing, and like you're saying, John, playing your own music, seeing the reactions, you know.
I know, yeah. I know. Lee would agree with you, because he's had like a barrage of tracks coming out since last March, and even before then. But I mean, like, yeah, your biggest tunes now, arguably, are all during Corona time, Lee.
I know.
What a fucking blue ball situation that is.
We've got loads more, so yeah.
Right.
We've just carried on as normal, you know. Just
you have to.
I think you guys are going to come out of this all right. I think.
Fingers crossed. Hope so. Yeah. Going back to the
performance anxiety.
Anxiety. Yeah, I used to get it really bad when I first started, and I was booked for my first couple of gigs. Obviously, this was before Metta and Glyde. I literally, my hand, I couldn't like stop my hand shaking like when I was playing. But then I started running my own nights, and sort of
get used to it.
Got used to it, and now it's more excitement when I go on.
I think that's
a confidence factor, isn't it?
It's a familiarity factor as well. I think the familiarity needs to kick in to a degree to minimize the anxiety, and then when there's that locking mechanism that's in place where, you know, your anxiety meets the kind of expectations of the night, then I think things get a little bit better. Yeah. I still get big events. Fuck, I'm shaking. I'm like terrified, especially with new tracks that I'm like about to debut or whatever. I'm like terrified of the response, like terrified.
Like James said as well, once you press play and you've mixed the first track, it all goes away, doesn't it? Like,
nah, for me it's the third mix. Third mix is it.
Yeah.
Third mix, and I'm on my way.
Do you know what though? I often find that the big festival gigs, like, you know, when you're playing in front of a couple of thousand people, I actually find them less terrifying than like smaller gigs where people are right up in your fucking face.
Really?
Oh, I like that. I like boiler room feel. I get more nervous when I can't even really see expressions. Like, I probably should wear glasses to a lot of these, because I normally would be, what do they call it, nearsighted, where you can't see far away. So like, if I'm at a festival, I can't really see if people are smiling or fucking making a growling face at me.
But I think that it's that in terms of like the performance anxiety, it's that disconnect between you and the crowd when you've got, because, you know, some of the big events, like especially like these big FSOE ones that I've played, you know, you're up on this pedestal and the crowd is like, you know, 15, 20 meters away, right? Whereas when you're in a boiler room gig, for example, like playing at Fabric, right, and these guys or Ministry, people are right up in front of your face, and like you say, yeah, it's great. But then when you're right up in front of your face, they're watching you this whole time, right? And that makes it a little bit more anxious, you know.
I love that. That is the energy that I want to feed off of. That's why I love the last Luminosity from 2019. They
feed
put
off
the
the
people,
energy, right?
Yeah, they like the people were really, really like, honestly, if they wanted to like tickle me, they could. And I have a funny feeling somebody did. But like, and it was just an amazing vibe, the whole Luminosity straight through. And you know, that was the closest they've been to the DJ at Luminosity in years. And that whole feel was, I even saw it before I even played. I'm like, this is the layout. This is the layout that we've been waiting for a couple of years, because it went through like some transition transitional phases, and then like they just nailed it in 2019, and then of course 2020, fuck, like yeah, of course that had to happen. Like they perfected that. Like I really feel that they got the feel really good, really well back. Is that good grammar? That's probably shit grammar, but
I know what you mean.
They got it back very well.
We played on the same stage at Lumi, but you played the day before, right?
You liked it though, right?
I loved it, man.
Yeah.
Where it had the steps left and right, and then the bit behind you, and you're in that kind of like little cattle pin almost type thing, wasn't it?
Yes, yeah, I think so.
But people were like leaning over the over the barriers and like, you know, come on.
It's amazing.
Someone kept on stealing my water. They were that close.
Such a good feeling.
See, James, you're saying someone take your water, they were that close, but like I've not been to Luminosity for a good few years. Have they changed it? Because I remember thinking in the years that I was there was you could basically walk up and slap the DJ in the arse.
It was like that, and then it went through a couple. It went through a couple of years where it wasn't like that anymore, and then in 2019, they really did reintroduce that kind of very, very up and close feel. Like everyone just, I mean, you could look at the videos. Like people were like just really around you by a couple feet, and it was cool.
Yeah, 100%.
John, there's been a question that's been popping around the chat, and I wanted to make sure I asked you the origin of 7.
Well,
because people still, I think there's still a lot of people that don't know it. They don't get it.
Well, basically, I mean, fuck, it's quite a long story, but I'll condense it. I've run various record labels, from the Discover days to running Perfecto to, you know, working with Armada, and I just got to the stage in the end where I just wanted to set up my own label, and I thought, you know, one of the ball aches of running a label, and I'm not saying this is a ball ache, you know, for necessarily, but it can be quite a time-consuming thing, is processing demos, nurturing artists, and trying to make them work as hard as they need to work to make it, you know, because some people make great records, but they haven't really got the aspirations or the desire to really push their career to a next level, which is, from a label perspective, what you want out of an artist, because the more they push themselves, the better sales they're going to get, etc., etc., etc. So I just wanted to set up a record label where I didn't have to go through that process of demo submissions, and I just wanted it to be the best music you know, that I loved. So I just picked my 7 favorite producers, and, you know, yeah, the lineup of 7 has evolved a little bit here and there, but I think the lineup that we have right now is my favorite lineup, and the one that's not going to change. And it's and it's basically a kind of egotistical, self-absorbed, you know, look at the music I love from just a bunch of my mates, basically. But I don't have to look at demos. I'm not looking for submissions. We're just putting out tracks. Everyone knows they do 1 to 2 singles a year, and that's it. It's a very simple model for a label, basically.
It's an 80s guitar solo of a label.
Yeah,
like, and amazing, and the fact that you don't have to listen to demos, it saves a lot of time. So yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense. And
I mean, we still do demos for the compilation albums, and we still, you know, are looking for music for that. And I want to try and maybe ramp it up from 1 to 2 compilation albums a year, although I'd like one of them to be something different, maybe like starting a chill out series or something. But yeah, I mean, in fact, because we got sent so much music, because people didn't know about this, and we were getting sent so much great music for which people were specifically submitting for 7, but we didn't have, because of the setup, we didn't have the option to release the music. That's why I started up Deep in Thought as well, so that we do have this second label to put out great tracks that are coming in that it would be a waste not to sign, basically.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Is Deep in Thought just for vocal stuff, or was it initially?
It started that way, and we released 6 great records, and then there just weren't any. You know, I was just, everything I was just saying no to. But then again, there were just some brilliant instrumental things coming through, and you know, Rob and I were doing some AA meeting stuff, and I really wanted to put that Nad Janima remix that we did out on Deep in Thought, and And I just thought, you know, actually we're pigeonholing ourselves by saying vocal only means that you were just going to have gaps and an inconsistency in your release schedule.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's just now just good quality fucking trance, basically. And actually to the point where I would gladly release progressive breaks, whatever, just good electronic music, melodic electronic music.
Cool.
Good answer. Good answer. Next question for everybody. Lee, I'm going to kick it off with you. Producing, making music or playing it?
Playing it.
Why?
Yeah. The interaction with the crowd, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm shocked to hear that from you.
I think we've been stuck inside making it for so long.
Oh, I guess the grass is getting greener and greener and greener. Yeah, true. This question might be unanimous. Let's see. Let's see. Oh,
yeah.
Interesting reason for the answer. If there was no Corona time, what would you think their answer would be? So hard to say.
I think playing it.
Still playing it. Okay. Okay. James?
See, I don't know. Like, I used to be more about producing it because I've done music my entire life. That's what I've always done. All right, I've performed as well, you know, all the way throughout my life. Like I was saying before, on piano, I've been in bands and that. But I don't know. I'm here with Lee as well. That it's been so long since playing it out that's the excitement for it now. And I'm not sure. I think when I first started in the trance scene, it was definitely production. But then as the gigs got better and better and bigger, it kind of moved halfway. And then once you start playing your own music out, then it really kind of tips it towards the gigging side.
Okay. Okay. John? I know it's going to be playing.
Well, actually, to be honest, I agree with James. I think it's about 50-50.
Wow.
And, you know, there will come a day when I want to stop touring, or maybe not stop, but maybe just do 5 or 6 gigs a year. But at that point, I will always, until I fucking breathe my last breath, I will always carry on making music for sure. You know, I come from a similar background as James, like being in rock bands and you know, I still love that side of music as well. And so I get a great thrill out of making music in the studio. So even when it comes to the point when, you know, I'm 70 years old and turning up to clubs and DJing might not be appropriate anymore, even though Carl Cox is still going to be doing it till he's a fucking 100. But I at that stage will still be releasing albums, will still be releasing singles. What that music will be like, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. I think if it wasn't for the production, I probably wouldn't be DJing. Put it this way, if I didn't make music and therefore DJing was just playing other people's music, I probably wouldn't DJ.
No, I totally hear that. That's
I DJ to play the music that I make. That's the reason why I DJ. It's the medium to perform the tracks that you make. So the two are hand in hand, and I agree with James. It's probably 50-50.
okay. That's a great answer. Yeah, totally. You?
Well, I think there's something in what John's saying there. It's like the tracks that you make. Those are the ones that whenever you DJ, that's why you're doing it. Really, let's be honest. I think. Yeah. I think if I had to pick one, I'd probably say making. I mean, I'd probably like compared with the rest of the people on this panel, I'd probably swing more towards that anyway. I could just quite like being. I quite like being just a producer, you know, and kind of enjoy doing the kind of geeky stuff, mastering, mixing, that kind of thing. And I don't know why that excites me, but there's something about whenever you click something into place when you're producing something that's like, yes.
But you never have to know why. You just know that it is.
Yep, exactly. So I think for me, it's producing for sure.
Yeah, Mercurial Virus is chatting. He just said it's the clap that you love, which is true, right? You love giving people the clap.
I love it.
Yeah. For any of you guys that don't know, Tolland always comes onto my streams and comments on the claps of various tracks. So, and then there's been streams where girls have come on the stream. I would love for him to give me the clap and quotes like that have come around. And like, it's very funny quotes, actually.
Do you know what? I've totally missed that. I'll need to.
Oh my god! amazing quotes that I wish I've clipped from the chats that I've seen throughout the months, and just very funny shit. Oh man, for me, production all the way. I mean, I love DJing and I love being on the stage in front of people, and it is a fuel factor. It's an adrenaline rush, absolutely. But for me, the feel of accomplishment in the studio and the anticipation of what comes with that. When you have a great studio day of wondering whether it's going to be on that coming Friday or whether it's going to be in 2024, of what that track is going to sound like for a dance floor. And like that is just so exciting to me. And also, like, you know, the feeling of being after a particular sound that you've been after for years on how to nail, and you know that one day you just happen upon it. You know, you make a mistake. You've enabled pulse width modulation on an oscillator that you didn't mean to, and then all of a sudden you stumble upon this texture that you have been after for years, or you've always loved and you never knew how to make, and you've just accidentally discovered it in your own sound. And you're like, holy shit! And like that to me is so rewarding. And you have similar rewards with DJing, but I think. I think for me the studio is my solace, is my like sanctuary. But you know, the stage is nice though. I mean, don't get me wrong at all. It's not like I loathe the stage. I think I celebrate the stage potentially too hard. But yeah, I do love the studio. Studio is for me the thing. So yeah, I
think that's a good way to put it. What's more rewarding?
Yeah, I mean,
what do you like, rather than what do you like more, what's more rewarding for you personally? Probably a better way of explaining it, isn't it?
It comes down to, and that's, I mean, we've just gone through all of us five, and everybody has had a pretty vastly quite different answers, even though the answers have ranged between two main answers. The reasoning behind those answers has been quite different. So, you know, that's really, really interesting. And everybody's so different. I mean, even through all this time too, you know, you could look at people that have embraced, you know, also in the beginning of this, I didn't really embrace live streaming whatsoever. In fact, I shunned it. I was like, no, I don't look good like on camera. I don't want to show my studio off. I think it's going to be boring. I think it's going to be, who's going to want to watch that? And then in the end, once I tried it, I was like hooked and like really got into this concept and discovered a whole new community of names like people I've never met before, and you know, these, you know, things that have kind of led me to a whole new world of where I don't have to choose between production and the stage, where it's a kind of a combination of both. And I think, I mean I'm just looking over everybody. Yeah, no, I mean, John, you've done the 8-hour video, which is very similar to streaming, of course, and like that. How was that for you?
With the live stream,
the production, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, you know, I fucking hate doing streams. I see them as soulless, and you know, while I quite like smoking a spliff and having a mix on my decks and you know, getting into it on my own, the whole putting a camera up in front of you and waving your hands around in the air as though you're in front of a festival just for the benefit of some guys who are on the other side of the camera, I just don't buy into that, because I feel it's insincere. To me, it doesn't work for me. So I just thought, you know, if I'm going to do a live stream, I want to do one fucking big one. I want it to be big production, and the visual element, I want it to be about the visual element and not necessarily about me, which is why through that whole 8 hours you never see my face. It's just my silhouette. Yeah. Because, you know, I like that whole repackaging it so that it is about the music. Well, it should be about the music, and you know, I'm never going to be one of these people who climbs up on top of the decks and stage dives and shit. You know, that's just not who I am.
You know Skrillex.
I would rather be tucked away in a corner just where I can watch people and be controlling them with music. But you know, I don't know. I'm not really comfortable with the whole live stream shit. I do it, and I think maybe I'm overdue doing one now, and I'm talking about looking into this. I was going to do one in January actually for Dream State, and it was going to be filmed in a skateboarding bowl, but you know, because of lockdown, it all fell through, and it's all a bit fucked now. But I don't know. I just, it's just.
It's not about. I mean, for me on my streams, I do not do this whole. Oh man, that is cringeworthy to watch people do that. But I mean, to just play music in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, by the way, Sean, don't.
I didn't take it as a step.
I'm certainly not criticizing anyone else who does this, and I, in a way, I admire people's enthusiasm when they're, you know, going nuts. And yes, I'm watching you, and yes, we have this connection, but they're basically in a room with just a camera screen looking at them, right? But for me, I can't get that level of enthusiastic without a crowd in front of me. I can't.
For me, you know what it is? That's what it is. It's been the reprogramming of trying to get that enthusiasm back from before we were playing for crowds. We were in our bedroom playing it on a fucking shitty little boombox and getting that same enthusiasm alone in our bedrooms. And that's kind of what this has rekindled. This enthusiasm for the music, where I don't necessarily need the crowd to be fueling me, though that will help inevitably when things come back. But you know, it's helped to rekindle a reconnection with just simply straight up the music, and that's nice.
The music I will always be enthusiastic about, and I can stand up there and mix for 5 or 6 hours and love it, but the performance is something that, you know, look, one of my favorite DJs on the planet is John Digweed, and when you go and see him DJ, you'll be lucky if he lifts a fucking hand up once.
No, he doesn't. No, yeah.
Him just standing there for the whole thing. But I've had some of the most groundbreaking experiences seeing that, you know, fairly motionless man do some truly magical things with the music, and to me, that's what it's always about.
Actually, yo, that totally reminds me of the old PVD, where you look at him and he would look at you like you just scratched the shit out of his car with your two kids, and you're like, did you just fucking look at me? I'm like, I'm sorry, I didn't look at you. Just play your tunes. It's fine. And now he's very into it. But like, I kind of prefer the old PVD where he would look at, where he would look up and you just look like you just murdered his children. I'm like, man. And I love that look. It's this cold, stone cold look. And he's like, that's it. He's going to play something fat next. I just know it. And he did. He always did. And he, like, you know,
that's exactly it. The first time I was seeing PVD, it was heads down all night. And at one point, he raised his arm and did this.
That was it.
And I was like, oh my God.
That was it. The hammer dropped. That was it. Forget it. And he would know that point. It was almost like he rehearsed it. It was almost like watching Halliwell play. Because it was like, this guy was like, you know, obviously practicing his moves in the mirror all the time, making sure he was looking like proper choreographed Bruce Lee style. And like, that was amazing to watch. And like Paul Van Dyke would practice that one movement where he would move his arm that one time in the night. And it would be cataclysmic for the club.
Yep.
Just amazing. Like, oh, I do miss those days. I do miss those days.
I think just going back to the streaming versus non-streaming, and a lot of people in the chat are saying one of the big things for them as fans who don't get to go to gigs anymore is the interaction still with the DJs and the artists, that they can still interact on at least some sort of level outside of the gigs themselves, which I do agree on, but I'm also in the same kind of boat as you, John, that I've not really done anything because it's not quite the same, is it, you know, as doing a real gig. But then I also do understand there is some sort of interaction you need to have. And for me, posting things over Facebook or Twitter or your other socials isn't quite the same as any other sort of interaction that you might be able to get from gigs or streaming, you know.
I think you're right. I just want to kind of... who knows how long this horse shit's going to carry on, but I think for me, my streaming model, other than the exceptions where a really important promoter reaches out to you and says, look, we want you to do a stream for us, and you have to say yes because it would be disrespectful not to.
Yeah.
In terms of my own streams,
that's not fair. That's not fair for them to put any DJ in that position.
No, but I think, you know what, if they booked you 10 times over the years and they've given you a lot of money and they've looked after you, they've taken you to great restaurants, then of course I'm going to say yes. And I don't mind doing that. And, you know, I'll even raise my hands and do that a few times while I'm playing. But the thing is, what I want to do is 2 or 3 kind of unique, if COVID ends up being, you know, 18 months to 2 years long, then to have done 3 unique, big, 8-hour-long live streams during that period with big production and unique settings and stuff, that's something I want to kind of focus on, because I don't know, I don't know, it's just I look at how much work you do, Sean, and it terrifies me how I mean, do you ever sleep?
No, I do, but not a tremendous amount. I mean, I'm up at sometimes 4:30 in the morning, sometimes 6 in the morning, but yeah, always in between that time.
I mean, I don't think there's anyone in our scene who has the commitment and work ethic of you. And I take
to be fair, I'm sleeping by 9:30 p.m.
Yeah,
I'm an old person at the Golden Corral in Florida, ready to go with buffet style, eating dinner and stuff like that at like 4:30 p.m. So no. My schedule is very, very, very much the opposite of like a normal DJ kind of anticipated schedule. But you know, when I do my Saturday streams, I'm up at 5 or 5:30 to prepare for a 7 a.m. stream, and that's it. But you know, to make sure that I can play for the Asia and Australia time zones, as well as, you know, California is actually very much into it because it's their Friday night, so that's kind of cool too. But yeah, all these things are kind of crazy. So we were just talking about James segue. There was one topic I wanted to bring up because, and to kind of slowly bring the show to a slow end. But TikTok was something that's come up in our family recently, and you know. We are looking at our daughters, and they're on the verge of getting cell phones, and we're just like, holy shit. The subject matter on TikTok is vastly different than the social media platforms that we're used to. Or at the very least, to some major degree. I mean, where it kind of seems to lead to body shaming in some way, or I was just looking at it, and like the first couple of videos I was presented was like post plastic surgery, and then the next one was like twerking ass, and like maybe that's just due to my search history, I don't know, but I mean but this is like it's sort of fresh installed. It's got no idea on anything. So I mean, like TikTok, have any of you have an account on TikTok?
No.
My daughter is obsessed with it.
Okay, so okay, it's invaded your household, and you. I'm assuming that she doesn't get presented with the same stuff that a 41-year-old male gets presented with.
I doubt she gets presented with the same stuff that Sean Tyas gets presented with, because
I hope so.
Regardless of whether it's a fresh install. That shit's got to leak across from your other devices.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, how did you know? How did you know?
Cookies, mate, cookies.
Goddamn cookies. These are not good cookies. But like, I mean, of course, the kids. You know, like my daughter Kyla, she has a friend who's got her own phone, and we're talking 9-year-olds, and actually her friend's 10, and she's like, oh yeah, she's made like 300 videos. I'm like, what? I'm like, are there? And it just seems like a lot of these videos are kind of like very, very. And I'm not saying she's making like sexy videos or anything, but like what I'm saying is what. How does she have 300 followers, for example? I'm like, what do these kids do? Like, I don't know. TikTok to me seems very weird. And of course, as DJs that are a little bit older, every DJ seems to have serious problems using the social media platform as a product. Even Paul Van Dyke has serious problems using it in a productive way compared to his other platforms. You can see him trying, but I'm like, if he can't use it right, I don't even know what the fuck to say on TikTok.
It's a different generational thing, isn't it?
You have 11, I think it's 11 seconds to do what you got to do.
No idea.
I mean, 11 seconds. And people put together like full productions in 11 seconds. It's like...
Are you trying to get to the point that is it something that we should be looking into as artists, as another outlet?
I'm not really sure what my point is. I just wanted to bring it up because it's been a topic that's been grazed over in this household for the last 6 months in terms of that being the reason that the girls have to wait an extra year for their phones.
When you go to Luminosity and you walk through the crowd, does it look like there's many people there who you think might use TikTok?
No.
The thing is, all those people are going to be dead soon.
Oh my
god! So you need to consider who are the next generation who are going to be turning 18 and going out clubbing.
I think the trans community are more than happy with the other social media platforms. They're okay without seeing Sean Tyas doing 11 seconds of arse shaking or whatever it is. They're cool without that.
Twerking or Thai working.
Yeah.
Twerking. Tyas twerking.
The thing is, my daughter said that Sean Tyas was shite at dancing. And,
that's right. She did call me shit at dancing. I was like, oh man. I was actually like, that ruined my day.
Well, I'm sorry, she didn't actually say you were shit. She said it needs improvement, and that's what she said. And then she said, I bet he can't recite whatever TikTok video. And I was like, what the fuck are you talking about?
That's the thing.
And and it's like, I'm kind of looking at these 14-year-olds and thinking, I don't understand the world you live in. And I joined TikTok briefly after that, and like Sean had said he joined TikTok as well. And I thought, okay, I'll check this out. And
same videos, same ones. I'm sure you're.
I do not get it. It was kind of like it seemed to think, okay, Hugh, you like boobs. What's going on here? And I'm like, no. it's just all these videos that it seemed to be quite a lot of repetition of people recreating
that's what it is.
videos.
A lot of recreations, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Someone does a dance to 11 to 15 seconds of music, whatever, and posts it goes viral, and then everyone else in the world tries to copy it. That's it.
That's what it was originally, right? I mean, it was originally a platform for people to remake music videos, right?
Well, it's just clips. I mean, there are people who have made millions on a track that doesn't even really exist. People are making tracks for TikTok that are only 16 seconds long, and those tracks get billions of streams.
Yeah.
And it's a different world. But I looking at it and knowing it from my daughter constantly trying to drag me in to learn dance moves, that's just never going to happen, love. So I can understand it. I sympathize. I get why they like it. I get how it works, but I just want to make fucking tunes.
You gotta do like the Fortnite dance. The Fortnite dance, right?
Flossing.
That's it. Yeah.
Flossing, yeah.
Very good. Oh man, the name of it had eluded me right there. Thank you, flossing. Yeah.
You've got quite a distinctive social media presence, so maybe you could actually make quite an impact.
I don't know what to do. I mean, the only post I think I've ever made on TikTok is like, yeah, okay, catch my Twitch stream in like 10 minutes. I didn't know. I mean, what do you say? I mean, Paul Van Dyke has done a couple of like quick clips where he's DJed on the waterfront, and a couple of his things where he's done like just quick clips of his, I guess live streaming where he's about to go live, and then I just kind of figured, okay, maybe I do that. But I mean, the kids don't give a shit about us. No. But this is where I segue into the point. Is and I'll ask the chat here as well. Do you guys feel that we are all a potentially older generation and the new generation does give a shit about trans, or what is that factor that's missing that got us into trans when we were that age? Or is it the fact that we are into it that makes it automatically undesirable for the younger generation?
Holy shit. Which one of those 25 questions?
Oh, you got it. You know what I mean.
Ask me that.
No, are we talking about TikTok?
No, we're off TikTok. We're kind of related to that. We're talking about that generation and why that generation seems to gravitate. I mean, of course, I think that generation is into trap and more future bass and future house because that's what pop is.
Because that generation 2 years ago when COVID started or whatever were 13.
Right.
By the time they come out, they'll be 16. And you know, I think at the end of this, there will be a shitload of new, fresh people gravitating to trance because they've discovered it during the period they've been locked at home, and they've become completely obsessed with Sean Tyas's 6 times a week streams. And then there'll also be a lot of people who will have, you know, either died because they're older and into trance, or they'll be gravitated off to something else. I just think, you know, there'll be new people, there'll be old people. But the one thing I'm pretty fucking certain about is when everything opens up, everybody is going to want to go out and party because they're sick of this bullshit. So I think our events, our clubs, everything are going to be packed. I think
it's no question.
Going to be having it.
Oh, I mean, I can imagine. I can imagine the debauchery. People will be licking each other's faces. David Elston says in the chat. He says, "Yeah, I mean, TikTok trance is fucked on TikTok because it's 11-second videos and their breakdowns are 2 minutes long. So we're already in trouble."
Brilliant. Well done, whoever said that.
So anyway, guys, I think that pretty much is going to wrap it up. This was an awesome session with all of you. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on. Anything else? Oh, by the way, Tolland is having a remix competition with Titan Audio, and I just wanted to put up the flyer for that real quick. So I'm going to be judging it. So real quick, we're just going to do that real quick. So, oh shit, let me move that out of the way. There we go. So yeah, definitely visit the Trance Production Forum on Facebook. And yeah, get all the information for this. Is the information for this available now?
Yes, everything you need to know is on there as an announcement on the page, including links to packs and everything else. So yep, check that out.
Definitely do that, and you producers out there, yeah, join that forum, join the group because it's quite the colorful assortment of different characters, and everybody's got a say, so it makes it very, very interesting. I peek in there from time to time. It is a war zone, which is exactly what you want in terms of, you know, getting ideas and seeing people discuss concepts and techniques of production. So definitely well worth checking out. And yeah, with that, everybody, I will see you, of course, on Wednesday night. And thank you guys all for coming on so much.
Big up, Sean.
Nice one. Right, catch you later on.
Take care, guys.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. And thank you for spending the time with us tonight.